Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Joe Werther, and I'm Senior Lecturer in Accounting here at Georgia Southwestern State. And want to give you a little update on what to look for next weekend. Your second exam will start next Saturday morning at 8:30 and end the following Monday. Which I believe it ends at the last time that you can get on to take your exam would be 9:30 because the end is 11 o'clock and the exam is a 90-minute exam. I want to talk a little bit about Chapter 17, 18, and 19, what to look for. Of course, in Chapter 17, I would do in the exercises, and you've got the solutions out there. I would do 1711 and 1713, and maybe even 1712, 11, 12, and 13 to get you ready to do activity-based costing questions. I believe there's maybe 3 or 4 activity-based costing problems on the exam, and those problems should take care of what you need to know about activity-based costing. There probably will be one theoretical question on activity-based costing also on the exam. So 17 is kind of light. The brunt of the test is Chapter 18, and you've got some big concepts in Chapter 18. The first concept you have to know is the difference between variable and fixed cost, what they do in total and what they do when you talk about them as a unit price or a unit cost. Okay, you have to know the difference now between both of them, and a lot of your multiple choice questions that I've put out there show you the difference between variable and fixed cost if you just go over the multiple choice. The second big concept in Chapter 17, of course, is the high-low method, and you're going to have to be able to calculate the fixed cost, the variable rate, and then if I give you a volume, you're going to have to tell me what the total cost is if I give you a specific volume. And of course, to do that, you've got to have the variable rate and the fixed cost already calculated. So that would be the second biggest concept in Chapter 17. Probably the third concept would be the cost, volume, profit, income statement, where you have sales minus variable cost equal contribution margin minus fixed cost equals operating income. Now, the income statement that you learned in Accounting Principles 1 is sales minus cost of goods sold, is gross margin, minus administrative and operating expenses is operating income. Okay, so you're going to have to be able to distinguish between those two income statements. And then you're going to have to know, I'd say, 6-7 formulas in that chapter. There's break even for both dollars and units. There's target profit or target income for both dollars and units. There's margin of safety, which is actual or budgeted sales minus break-even sales, the difference. And then there's margin of safety expressed as a percentage, okay, which is the margin of safety amount over the actual or budgeted sales. They call that margin of safety expressed as a percentage, okay. So those are the main formulas that you're going to have to be able to use in problems. And again, it's about doing as many multiple choice as you can of the ones that I've put out there for you, and doing the self-test questions at the end of the chapter to get you prepared, because this is a multiple choice test question, or I'm sorry, a multiple choice test. Okay, so your questions, there's not going to be any essays, it's all going to be multiple choice. And then in Chapter 18, I'm looking for the weighted average contribution margin ratio. Okay, and you can see that in chapter 18, where if you go to probably exercises, let's see here. Exercise 1910 and 19.9. 1910 and 19.9. And that should teach you how to calculate the weighted average contribution margin and how to use a sales mix to get a break-even point. Okay, that's the main point in chapter 18, is using different products and calculating break-even. Now, there's also another formula in chapter 18 called operating leverage, and that, of course, is contribution margin divided by operating income. And you should be able to do exercise 1914 and 1915, and that should be sufficient to teach you operating leverage. I would expect maybe 1 or 2 questions on the exam concerning operating leverage. So, as you can see, there's quite a few concepts. I wanted to talk to you about this about a week before the exam, so you can start going over this material, because this historically has not been a good exam for a lot of my students, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because there are a lot of calculations on a lot of these problems, but the exam will be pretty much, I would say, 75% analytical and 25% conceptual. So most of your questions will be, problem-solving type questions. Well, that should do it. I'm sure expecting, everybody to do better than we did on the first exam. Just do it. My biggest suggestion is do as many multiple choice questions as you possibly can, and try to go through the exercises, and focus on the topics I covered today, the big topics. Thank you very much.